No doubt, no doubt. And again, you know, look, this is for you, but I will let you know. Yes, people. What's
before they would don't ever serve you. We did.
Wagwan, people. We back. True Talk. Back in the house once again, bringing you the live discussion today. Joined with our brother IC3 and whoever else. Remember, today is an open panel show. So anyone is up. Riggsy put that link.
Yeah, before we go into the nitty gritty, we're gonna quickly do a little breakdown on understanding. First, most before, don't forget, on Friday we have Talking with the Creatives, and we got a clothing brand, a musician and musical duet on Friday on the other channel. So please go and subscribe, which we'll be putting into the inbox. But before we even go into that factor, we're going to be discussing, as we were talking about, the influence and the all around what bank means and what bank is about. So before we are due to the situation, we're going to introduce our brother here, who's going to be talking about the reparations banking. But before we do that, I want to speak to my colleague, Richie. And Rich, I want you to put it out there in the facts of what does a bank mean to you?
A bank means to me institute to obviously build other institutes from. You know what I'm saying? It's a place that houses your assets. Yeah, it's a foundational part of your community. It has to be. It should be. You understand? Because as I said, it's handling your assets, your investments. It's supposed to see the future movements with you as the people, the community come to them and point out things that need to grow. They're supposed to have the vision, the drive, and the trust of the people to see and invest in these moves. So I think that, to me, on a surface level, is what at least a bank should be.
Okay, so in the facts of understanding the history of banking, and we're not going to really go too much detail in the forms of the history of banking, but understanding how the banks have come about in forms of helping and giving people an advance to something that they don't really own, but is helping them to push them forward. But what you'll find out is that the bank system now has become an asset, in the fact that even when you look at it in the format of what it is on the real estate. So you will see that corporations nowadays, they own real estate and they are able to utilize the assets of what they have to able to generate more. So what they use your money for is to use it as in a form of investments to purchase other things to make an interest out of your money. But before we even go into that aspect, I'm going to speak to our brother IC3, and I just want him to give us a little definition of what his understanding and etymology of banking.
Yeah, my understanding of banking is it's the very core of a society. It's the center of the values, the cultural values, the values of the people. So I understand a bank is basically a store of the value of the people. That's the starting. That's the beginning. The root of it, as far as I understand.
So it mind me asking you in its format, right? Is that where do you feel in history that the banking itself has slightly gone another direction? In the fact that, because even though we know that we're supposed to use this as a deposit and what we do, but because of certain things, it's a format of funding or commissioning something to invest in. So
Yes,
where would you
yeah.
say it went a bit wrong in your
Okay.
eye?
Right. So it's deep. I tried even find words to put this across because it's not something that people usually discuss. So
Yeah.
bear with me. Fundamentally, the land and the people are one, and the people and the people were taking see, they have to watch the words, like, put it simply, like loans were
Yeah.
among the community,
Mm-hmm.
in contrast to an outside entity. So it basically, if the people were in debt, they were in debt to themselves. So it was a circulation within the community. But where it fell down, to address your point, is when outside entities started to put the people in debt, thereby starting to destroy the community, the nation, and overtake the land, because so the land became possessed by outside entities. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So Rich,
Just simply put, but you can ask more questions now, and the more you ask,
we'll ask a bit more further. Rich,
yeah.
Brother Rich.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah,
So I'm just
in the analyzation of what IC3 has mentioned, I just want you to give us a breakdown of your understanding at this precise moment, because I'm just doing something.
I mean, at the moment, you know, it's as I said, it's an institution that helps you to build. But again, you see, what we need to really do is, like, again, the talk of reparations and the bank, because some people may not be seeing the correlation. So
Exactly.
let's clear that.
Yeah, but you see, before we go there, the reason
it's a bit heavy.
Hold on, Riggs. Just on a quick one, because again, people are going to come in and they're going to think there's two different conversations going on.
Yeah.
So the reason why, again, we're having this talk about.
Sorry, Rich, 1 second. This is the reason why I want us to have an understanding of banking before we go to reparations. Because understand the influence and understanding what the bank system is. Because some people just think you just don't put your money in and you take your money out, or they loan you money and that's it. But then the bank system itself does much more.
Yes, that's it. Yes.
Do you understand that, Rich?
Yeah. A lot of people.
So continue.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't really understand what a bank is and what money is. Everybody says, "Oh, I've got bills to pay. I've got to get the money for this, money for that." So the word money is used often, and a lot of people think that they know what money is. They don't know what money is. They know what money can do. I can buy this, I can pay this bill, and so on. But they don't understand what money is. And banks, people don't really understand what a bank is. They think that a bank is like a neutral place. You know, they think that somehow a bank has no biases, no values. You know, so they think you could be a Christian, and then you're sharing a bank with a Muslim, sharing the same bank with a Satanist, sharing the same bank with an atheist. People tend to assume that the bank has no values, has no agenda, has no purpose but just to service. It's a safe, unbiased place. So just to quickly say that if the place where you're putting your money, where you're putting your savings, does not share, if the people that are managing your money, are not sharing the same values as you, what could they be doing with your money? Something to think about.
Yeah. So in saying that in a bank, let's just push it aside, because now we're going to push that aside for a second, and then we're going to look at as I always have my motto, Black family first. So we're going to go into understanding. We're not going to go into in no form of depth, but understanding the atrocities that has happened in Africa, and understanding how how the African diaspora has come about, and understanding that the formalities of how the banks funded these discoverers in its format, in understanding that it was a form of business, but which for you to have a business, and if you find something, you need some form of advance of money to come from somewhere. So there has to be some form of transfer to come along to spend for what the situation is going on. So then when we look at Black people in general, is able to understand that same atrocities and the business aspects, in the fact of, number one, they found free land, or they made it to be free land for themselves. Yeah. Then they applied what they took from the motherland in forms of free work. So once you've got the free land and free work, you're now able to apply that on a piece of land into forms of what we call back then agriculture. That agriculture created a formality of business, which was an atrocity in the fact of us as Black people have been through, as we call, slavery in the forms of the African diaspora. Now, in forms of the retributes of claiming something back or getting something back for what they have put the people through, it gives an understanding or makes sense in the fact of that we need some form of something to reignite us as a people, to put ourselves back on a level plane. So now, as I will go straight into the factors of Brother Rich.
Yeah, go on.
Now break down exactly what you was talking about, bruv, in about that banking system and your understanding of the reparations. Peace to many that goddess in the house. Peace to all the other people in the chat. You know, we love you all.
Black Ultron, that's all Sankofa.
So anyone that wants to come on, please do come on at any time, because we want to have this discussion and understanding the forms of the reparations bank, and understanding other banks and entities of other people coming on in the fact of what other opportunities can we have in that form of banking. So yes, Brother Rich.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think we've covered now, or started to get into what a bank is, the kinds of things we should expect from a bank. But again, when we're talking about reparations and any sort of payment, ownership of land, whatever, holdings of any sort, and especially, again, if we're talking about reparations directly coming from the powers that be, the government, whatever, we're talking about having an entity, an institute, an organization that can handle those payments. You understand? Now, this is where, again, the conversation, why, again, this is needed, you know, because
yes,
on one hand, you can, we can debate whether or not we'd ever get reparations and all of that kind of talk there. But again, if we was to get any form of payment, it would have to go through a particular organization to distribute the wealth, to make sure that it gets to the right place, etc., etc. Now, before you talk about committees or if you was to have a committee or some sort of organization of that sort, eventually you would definitely need a bank, a credit union, something of that structure to handle the dealings that we're talking about. So again, even normal times, obviously, as we've clarified, a banking system is needed for the community. But again,
That's
if
right.
we're going to do any sort of reparations, payments, get any compensation, have any wide community dealings on a business level, then it would be incumbent on us to have a bank of some sort that we can rely upon and help to distribute. So again, that's why it's important for us to be financially aware and have this literacy and see the natural connection between the bank and this institute that we need, and any sort of payment reparations of any sort, that we may get from these circumstances that we're in.
Yes.
So, I
I
mean,
mean,
again, this is where we're coming from when why we're having this conversation and talking about the importance. What's going on, Jamal? This is our brother from America,
peace.
Jamal Milton. Now, the reason why I've
Okay.
asked to come and join us is because recently he's been involved in forming a bank in Ghana
Oh, right. Wow.
for our people. Them, that's right. If I'm not mistaken, you're the CFO. I know you just come on. Big up to people. Then I believe he's the CFO or so. So again, talking about the structure of a bank and why it's important. This is another brother who can add weight, and hence why I asked him to come into the conversation. So big up yourself, Jamal. Say big up to the people. Tell the people who you are before we can jump into the conversation a bit more.
Peace, peace. Can you hear me
Can you
okay?
hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you. I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear
Yeah,
you.
that's what's up.
I can hear you.
Yeah, so the overall motivation for getting into banking is to understand financial literacy from an international level. For the most part, most of us here in America understand national law, federal law, but we are not well versed in common law. And those are the things where we as melanated people benefit more in understanding that and how it ties into financial literacy. Once we learn this part of the game, this now enables us to be able to, to mobilize in a way that our enemy actually understands. You see, they don't understand things that don't deal with the commerce, trade and commerce. They don't understand mobilization when we're just marching, and all those things are nice, but those aren't the things that make things change. We forget that America
Yep.
is a corporation, it's a business, and the way that we hurt our oppressors by hurting them in their pockets. So when we take our money, being the richest people on the planet, when we take our money seriously and we begin to mobilize our funds, things start to change and fairly quickly. First for us, and then because we start to upgrade our lifestyle and how we're living, it changes things for them because we no longer need them now that we are dependent upon one another. So it's my contention to help to bridge the gap between us and the continent of Africa, the richest continent in the world, and reclaim what is ours through international banking.
Yeah,
Good.
thank you, Jamal.
No,
So before we go into it, IC3, in the form of that presentation, introduction into the reparations bank, I want you to able to give us an overview of why and what it would look like in its perspective.
All right. Over the years, I've been going to many meetings and many discussions about how the problems that people classified as black are experiencing. And over the years, I've always heard more problems. There always seem to, the meetings I've been to, always seems to be a lot of talk about the problems and new problems, but I found it very difficult to find people that were talking about solutions. So a lot of time will be spent in a meeting and people would just be talking and expressing themselves, and sharing their pain. But very few people were actually saying, well, right, this is what about this solution to that particular problem, or solution, that word, I wasn't hearing it enough. And then I heard a lot about reparations, and I started to think about reparations. And then I asked a question. I started to ask a lot of people this question. I started to say, if I had your ID, if you told me your ID, and I gave you a code number, and you were to go down to the City of London, where all the banks are, and you could claim your reparations in gold, what would you do? And nearly everybody says, oh, what? You give me a code and a reference, I can go and claim a few crates of gold, pure gold in reparations. I'll take that code and I'll go straight down to the City of London and claim my gold, my crates of gold. I said, yes. I said, oh, yes. I said, okay. So you go down there with this code I'll give you and claim your 3 crates of gold. Yes, straight away. Whoa. I said, okay. So when you claim the 3 crates of gold, and then they wheel them to the door and say, there's your gold, what are you going to do with it? Take it right back to my flat. Your flat, your house. So you're going to take 3 crates of gold back to your house or back to where you live. And then it's only then they kind of caught what's going. Oh, wait a minute. And then they thought, oh, I just called my friend or call a security company. I said, oh, so you're going to take your 3 crates of gold, take it across the pavement. Have you got a wheelie truck or something? We're going to put it in a plastic bag and carry it, your gold. Oh. And they start to realize, security. Oh, I'm going to call up a security company. So while you're standing on the street in the pavement, outside that organization with your 3 crates of gold, you're going to start calling the security van. And then they get to the next level and say, what I do, clever one. What I do, I'd get them to transfer my share of gold into another security company or another bank. So you're getting your gold from here and taking it back there to the same people. And then they say, well, what would you do with it then? I say, I'd leave that gold, take the reference, leave that gold right where it is, and build, before I go to get the gold, I would have to have an entire community or nation behind me. So that an entire organization and a place to put that gold. And I'd have to be part of a nation that, as each of us, all of us are backing each other as security. So you're not just an individual collecting 3 crates of gold. There has to be an institution set up way before you start going to collect your reparation. Does that make sense, or was I not clear? Or you think
makes perfect sense?
Disagree?
Yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense. You're clear about it. So
I agree.
You can't be an individual when you need to move assets. You need to have some base to support you. You understand, when you're doing this. So as a community, as an individual, it's not going to work. Stashing shit under the mattress, as they say.
Exactly. You see,
Right.
So you start to think it's a serious thing. It's so much more involved. So then you start to appreciate the value of community and organizations and institutions in order to receive things that could benefit you as an individual because you're part of something greater.
Absolutely,
So
I
these
agree
are the thoughts.
100%.
Yeah, so these are the thoughts, and I started setting up. We have meetings, think tanks in Tottenham, and we used to come together. And the basic plan that I have is as a result of the many meetings and discussions and we've had. And I see this situation right here and now on Black Eyes TV as just another think tank where we're sharing, ideas. So there is a plan, and I'm hoping you'll test me on the plan.
Okay, so with that plan, in the perspective of that plan, I just want you to give us a kind of an insight of what that plan consists of, because for us to able to ask the questions, we need to know exactly how how it's the foundation has been built itself.
Right. So the foundation is I've heard over the years many conversations, well, not many conversations actually, about banking. You say I've heard a lot of conversations about buy black, we've got to buy black, black business, black networking. I've heard lots of that conversation, but I never heard conversation about black banking. So there's always been a hard push for business and networking and working together, but nobody ever talks about banking. I never heard that. And then I heard lots of conversation about reparations. We deserve reparations. But these two things I understood were extremely important, but I've never heard the concept of the combination of banking and reparations. See, banking, reparations. Why not put the two ideas together, and maybe it's the solution to both problems or issues lies in the combining both together. So then I started to do some research into banking. Has there been any black banks before? Where are they now? What happened to them? So a lot of you are historians. I'm not a historian. I was just researching it, not so I could lecture about black banking. I was researching black banking to find out if black banks existed before, and if they did exist, where are they now? And if they did exist and they failed, what caused them to fail? So I was researching banking from that aspect.
I see three. So I just wanted to say something into putting the equation into that paradigm. When we're talking about the foundation and we're talking about banking, the first protocol that I'm kind of getting grasp of is that if we open up, or even if we had a reparations bank, where would we put this bank?
Brilliant. So
in that format, Rich, in your ideologies, where would you actually feel that would be the best place to put that bank without any involvement?
Now, this is the discussion. This is why I asked Jamal as well, because as somebody who's into community works in America, in your community, your local community, as well as trying to do this Africa thing, and I see Free, Terry, me, we're in the local community, obviously here in the UK. And some of these concepts I've heard before, but again, is it better to try to do a bank here in the diasporan country, or is it something where we shouldn't even be considering banking in these diasporan countries and only be considering it in Africa? Because again, this is where again I asked Jamal as well, like for you, your opinion on this one, brother, because obviously you've looked into it. So You know, what are the laws like? Is it even feasible in your head to do something like what you've done now in Africa, in America? And then we'll kind of take it from there.
For me, when it comes to building anything for people of the diaspora, building it here in America is not even an option for me. I've seen what they've done in the past. We all have seen what they've done in the past to anything that we build here on American soil. Until we have the proper protection for what it is that we're trying to build, it doesn't even make sense to even search those avenues. You know, when you buy your cell phone, you don't even walk out the store generally if you're smart without a cell phone case, right? And in some cases, before the phone is even turned on, you're walking around the store to find a good case for your phone. When we're trying to build something for Black people, you know, we can't stay in the same position in the same place that made us sick. You know, we've never even had the opportunity to quarantine away from these individuals who've done us so dirty over the past couple hundred years. We haven't even had the opportunity to get out on our own and sustain our own and see what it's like to even not have them a part of the system. So I think it's important that if we're going to build anything, that we look to protect it first. Like the brother just said, you know, where you going to take all of that gold? You know, leaving it here, we already know it will be under attack. We'll be behind enemy lines by doing anything here. So for me, you know, it was my contention to. I wasn't even thinking about it until the option came up for me to move to Ghana. Once I bought land in Ghana, then that became something that I tapped into. You know, being a part of a bank was something that was one of my goals. You know, and he'll tell you we've never even had this conversation in reference to banking before until now, because it wasn't something that I was looking to do until the universe simply just put it on my plate when I realized I had already mobilized the people, and that we needed infrastructure to where we can separate ourselves uh, from this demon. And once we realized that we already had everything that we needed by being tapped into the continent, you know, it made perfect sense to now galvanize our funds of what we've worked for, you know, here in America and take them elsewhere. Because, you know, like you said, you know, we do great things here in America. We built some great things, but as soon as we get our money or get our dividends, we dump them right back into the same system that will deny us a home loan. You know, we take all of our money and we dump it into these banks, and we can't even get a car. You know, so it's it's time that we take our resources and don't look back. You know, America, like we said, is a business, so that means it could be on any soil. You know, where you are doesn't really matter. But we know that America is the United States of America is in North America on that particular soil here in the United States. So we need to remove ourselves from that space to protect ourselves. That's the only reason, is to protect ourselves from this infrastructure and to build something sustainable that we don't have to rely on them for anything. You know, so you know, it's my contention to protect our assets. That's first and foremost. You have to protect the assets that gives you the funding. You know, the money doesn't mean anything. The fiat doesn't mean anything if the assets aren't protected. Once whoever has possession of the assets essentially controls the money. So, you know, that was the reason for doing it in Ghana, because that's where we would have the protection. Absolutely.
So, Abu Jamal Milton, what do you think of this? Right. We'll there's reparations, there's banking, and then let's talk about banking. But I see banking, the banking conversation, in two parts. One, the mobilization of the current situation of banking. So basically, people are banking with their normal bank, usual bank, as they are now. It's immediate situation. So as phase one, or maybe there could be parallel phases, but do you think there could be an organization that enables people to move their savings like they move their votes. So there's lots of organizations say, look, the black vote, the black vote. There's so many black people. If we could organize black people to vote in unison on particular issues, we could have more power in the democratic process. So that's where they are now. We're paying our taxes. Could black people focus and coordinate their voting capabilities in order to improve their current situation? So I understand that there's organizations like ADPAC and organizations that try to effectively mobilize the black vote. So I'm wondering, do you think it could be applied also to black savings? So somebody representing such an organization would say, look, offer black people a better rate of interest on this, or else they'll all move or a good number will move their savings to this bank. So do you understand what I'm saying? So the mobilization of votes.
Yeah, I
Could it
understand.
work for the mobilization of savings? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely could, and that's kind of what we're doing, because not only did we open up Nibiru Freedom Bank, but we also created Nibiru Freedom Coin, to where it's our own currency.
Say that again.
We also not only created Nibiru Freedom Bank, but we created Nibiru.
How do you spell that? That Nibiru.
So it's our own currency. Yes. NIBIRU. So this is what separates us from IRU.
Okay.
This is the part of the game that separates us from our normal operandi, of just tapping into what our oppressors have created for us and just moving our money to another bank, because that won't be the solution. The solution is for us to have our own currency, essentially. So what we did, without giving too much away, we used our currency to assets, and then use those assets to create our own currency, our own coin. So those who are coming into the bank essentially have access to the Nibiru Freedom Coin, which is cryptocurrency, and it has the ability to be traded on the market like any other currency that's out there. So we compete directly with Bitcoin, and Ethereum and Litecoin, and essentially we have one up on them because we actually have assets backing our coin. It's not just fiat. So that's where us as people of the African diaspora have the one leg on this current situation, is because we have the land that has the resources. So as long as we can control our infrastructure in Ghana, of all the gold on the Gold Coast that we have, and the diamonds and the columbite, as long as we control that infrastructure, they won't be able to touch us. We'll be self-sustainable. So, but for the other countries that are colonialized, at some point we'll have to network with them. That's far further down the line, to get them to see value in coming over with us and utilizing the resources and the assets that they're currently standing on. So that's the key. It's not just banking, it's actually playing the game. We have to have commerce, and our currency needs to be worth more. So right now the American dollar is worth 3 cents on the international market. So now is the opportunity to seize the moment, to where our coin is worth exactly what it is. If it's worth $1, you can get $1's worth of gold for it. It's actually worth what it is because it's backed by gold, diamonds, and columbite. So that's the difference of what we're doing. You see, and absolutely, what you just said is the key.
Okay, have you heard of the Lumi, the new Lumi, LUMI?
Yeah, that's the app online, right, where you can you actually get paid to post your videos and stuff.
No. This one, the Lumi, is a new money based, that's backed backed by the gold, all the gold that is in Africa, in the soil, plus sunlight, and it's an idea that's come about from the Maroons. Have you heard of the Maroons in Jamaica?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Maroons, Akampong, a place called Akampong, in Jamaica. It's a sovereign. It was granted sovereignty some time ago. Terry, you probably know more about the history of the Maroons in Jamaica, but they're a sovereign nation or country within Jamaica, and there's some other Maroon places as well. And so the idea was to have the Lumi based on how can I say, based in Akampong. So that will be the land aspect. I think Terry will speak more about this. But so Lumi, so like your Nibiru is a cryptocurrency, but this Lumi is actually hard currency backed. It's only just come up. It's only the last few years that recently this has come out. So I think it's good for you to do some research into that as well, because that's more on your side. You know, so Akampong, Jamaica, the Maroon territory is sovereign, and I think it was last year they just launched the Lumi, Lumi. So if you search Lumi, Lumi, you'll get some information on that. So
But
I think,
I want to ask a question, Jamal. In forms of your coin, would you class your coin as a stable coin? And for the people out there that don't know what stable coin is that it's a cryptocurrency backed by some form of resource or asset.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I mean, it's so stable. We don't even need the people's money to participate in what we're doing in our trade. We already have the backing. We already have the financial backing. We already have several paramount chiefs in Ghana as well, who are offering all of their assets, their gold, their diamonds, $270 million worth to be exact, as far as net profit worth of gold, diamonds, and columbite. So we already have all the funding that we need. Right now, we're just getting people involved so they can start circulating it around, because that's what really brings it to strength, is being able to mobilize the people that actually use it. You see what I'm saying? So I think that's where our stability comes from. We have a 5-star asset rating as far as our coin right now on blockchain. So it's more than stable. It's already moving. It's accepted in many countries worldwide already. They're already using it in some countries. And in some trade platforms, they only want Nibiru Freedom Coin. So yeah, as far as stability, that's the number one thing that we have.
is there something?
Again,
Sorry, go on.
No. Again, just the importance of understanding the difference between a backed currency and a fiat currency. Super important, because again, I know right now cryptocurrency is the buzzword and everyone's jumping on it, but again, understanding how the banking system works, understanding what all of your finances is set on, meaning the assets that are truly valued in society, and then understanding the buffer systems that work in between you, the people, and those assets, those real-time assets, and how you trade and move about is super important. And again, for the future, when moving our currency around and maintaining the value of, you know, your original money that you're moving or transferring it into, this is why these conversations are super important. Because again, when we're talking about moving from one country to the next, you start to talk about bigger restrictions when it comes to money moving, how you can move it, you know, the value of the money and such and such. What was you going to say, IC?
Yeah, keep talking. I'm going to try and, if we can share screen, not now. I'm going to try and find the part where the Lumi is being discussed.
Yeah.
So
Try and
we can share. So I think
for
everybody
the
should
people
know
in
about
the
this.
chat. Yeah, for the people in the chat that's asking, I'll get Jamal to put up the details of his currency, the Namibian Freedom Coin. And for those who know, I'm already arranged with Brother Jamal to come back and do a separate show where we're going to go in super deep into everything that he's doing, the community that he's involved in out in Ghana. So we're going to have a full breakdown show on that. So hold fast on that. The flyer will be coming out and the time and all the rest of it. Remember, this is an open panel show. So again, anyone who's listening, if you've got an opinion, if you've got a suggestion, something you want to add, that you're not just happy writing in the chat room, feel free to jump on. The link is there in the chat. Hit the like button as you come in, as you know. But as I said, this is an open panel show. So wherever you're at, please feel free, jump in, join us, have your say as well. One of the things, again, people were writing in the chat and making abundantly apparent, which is most of the time, if we do things over here in England, in America, as Jamal was alluding to, a lot of time they can freeze assets, they can mess with your money, impose extra taxes and such and such. So for me, that's why in my head, I don't see it as a feasible thing to really have here a lot of the time because of those reasons. I don't know how Terry feels about that, if he thinks it's a feasible thing.
Yeah. But just for a second, for one moment, anyone that wants to come onto the panel are allowed to come on. The link is in the chat, and if you have problems coming through, as someone is trying to come through, but if they check their camera and their mic before they can come on, make sure you check it, because sometimes it will not allow you if you don't activate your camera or your mic. But you don't have to show your face. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Could you share screen, please?
Yes. So go to share screen, and then I'll bring it up.
All right. Share screen.
Highlight the page that you want to share.
Let's see. Highlight the page. Right. Yep, I've got that there. Wow, share audio. Right. Share. Let's see. Is it working? Share.
It hasn't come up yet.
Oh.
Once you press on share, you got to highlight the page that you want to share.
Oh, right. Okay. Won't let me come out. Let's see. Let's see. Share screen. Never done this before. So. Share audio.
Yeah, so great.
Oh, right. StreamYard. Is it? Can you see it now?
Right.
Can you see this?
Okay. There you go. Yeah. We're seeing it.
Right. Watch this.
The Lumi, a new currency from a small village in Western Jamaica, could help countries in the Caribbean.
Can you hear that? Can you hear that? Hello? Can you hear that?
Yeah, play it.
Yeah, no.
The Lumi, a new currency from a small village in Western Jamaica, could help countries in the Caribbean, Africa, and the diaspora to realize their economic and sustainable development goals. The Lumi, which is pegged against solar energy and is endorsed by the African Kingdoms Federation and ECO6 countries, was launched recently, and there's now a major drive to roll out the currency out in Africa and digitally. The Federation has also announced a $6 trillion stimulus package for the African diaspora, Africa, and kingdoms on the continent. Well, for more on the Lumi and the elimination of debt in Africa, we're now joined live via Zoom from Munich in Germany by the Prime Minister of the African Kingdoms Federation, Timothy E. McPherson. Chief Timothy, thanks very much indeed for joining us and welcome to the program.
Thank you kindly for having me on the show, Peter. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, so you were instrumental in the creation and introduction of the Lumi digital currency in Akompong in Western Jamaica. What inspired this initiative? It also had real notes in Jamaica.
Absolutely. From a perspective of inspiration, let me be candid about this from the very beginning. The Lumi has its roots in climate change. The region of the Caribbean is impacted by climate change more than any other region on Earth. And after the Caribbean, of course, you have Africa.
Is there any way of turning it up?
Brazil.
Turn it up.
And so,
Yeah, please.
first put forth by the indigenous administration.
Is that the loudest it goes? Because he's low.
No.
A very real problem of
Did you click onto sound audio?
Yeah.
That's the highest it's gonna be.
What's that?
I think what's gonna be best, yeah, because we get the idea. What I want you to do, if you could get the link for that page,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
pop it
'cause
in
I
the
think-
chat.
Put the link in the back chat
Yeah.
now. I'll do it for you.
Right. Okay. 1 second. I think you should listen to this.
Yeah,
1
no,
second.
because I'm interested in this because again, I didn't know about this Lumi, so I definitely
Right,
want to see
yeah.
it and other people are interested. The same for
There
you,
are
Jamal.
certain-
Please post any of your
Yeah.
information for the Namibian Freedom Coin in the chat, please, for the people who are asking.
Yeah.
So yeah, where
am I? Trying to get back to the screen. You got it in the private chat. I was going to put it on the public chat now.
Yeah.
1
perfect.
second.
So Jamal, let me ask you this. I see on the other day about Black Wall Street happening in America. You know about this?
I'm sorry. Come again?
Black Wall Street.
Black Wall Street.
Oh. Yeah, I'm hearing some sort of black orientated kind of Wall Street type situation, black exchange that's being started in America. Do you know anything about this? And how credible do you see that being?
Yeah, I'm. Yeah, I mean, essentially, realistically, there are all sorts of trades that are already happening all around the world. America is just the last ones to catch up and to catch on. People have already abandoned the American dollar, for a while now, and people have been using more of a barter trade system around the continent, especially in Africa. I first heard about cryptocurrency through some African associates, and this was years ago. When I didn't realize how big it was going to be. They would tell me about it. They were walking around with 2 and 3 phones, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "Well, this is my crypto phone. I only do crypto exchanges on this phone." That type of stuff. So America is one of the last ones to actually hop into it because they were trying to hold on to their dollar as long as possible. But now that it's demonetized and they can't print any more money, they don't have a choice. So all of a sudden, overnight on your Cash App, Bitcoin just pops up. No announcement, no nothing. It just pops up on your Cash App. Now all of a sudden it's acceptable, but they were trying to hold on to their claim to the economy for a very, very long time, for the past couple of years while all this was going on. So as far as the other markets, those other markets been up and running, and they've been successful. People have already created their own banks, and they're, some of them have personal banks and things of that nature. So private banking has catapulted over the last couple of years, tremendously. It's just that the word didn't get to us until way later, because they didn't want us to know what was going on. They always wanted to make it seem like they were in control, but they've been lost it.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's called the Black Exchange, but I mean, how much power do we actually have over those particular markets? Because that's the key element.
We have all the power that we give to it. Here's the thing, and this is just us. We kind of want everything set in stone and kind of like with the silver ribbons on it, and like, hey, we're going into the promised land, that type of situation. And we don't realize that this is something that we have to build from the ground up. You see what I'm saying? This is not where a situation where you go into it and everything's there and it's ready for you. It's something to where you take the like-minded individuals. Fortunately, this is what we were doing over the last couple of years, was galvanizing these people. You take those individuals and you put them into a specific market geared for them, and then you make it pop. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to get out of waiting for the white man to co-sign shit. Like, never mind what they're doing. We already got it. Like, we've been rich already. We everything that America has done to us, we signed up for. Like, we forget about that. Like, we took our children from the moment they were born and gave them birth certificates and signed them over to the government. That's why they can shoot you dead in the street, no problem, because you're a tax write-off. You see what I'm saying? So we have to come out of that infrastructure, start looking to more sovereign ways, more sovereign movements, especially not only just economically, but spiritually, and physically. We got to up and move. We can't be up amongst them. We got to go and get our own. You know what I'm saying? So, let them have. I even propose they had this. Y'all can have this, because I'd rather go to where all the resources is at, where all the assets is at. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all can have this. So that's the way I see it. I'm indigenous to where I can walk around butt naked. Like, you can't tell me. I know, this make Native American mad and shit, but I really don't care what they think, because at the end of the day, I know you ain't indigenous to Southside Chicago in the winter. Like, there ain't no way you walking around there butt naked. You're indigenous to where you can walk around butt naked. So I know where home is. Like, this might be where we are, but it ain't home. So I have no issues with being pro-African and Afrocentric in every single movement, even my finances. So we really have to, start tapping into that.
All right. So we're going to play video now. All right.
Go on then.
All right. 1 minute.
Run the track.
Help countries in the Caribbean, Africa, and the diaspora to realize their economic and sustainable development goals. The LUMI, which is pegged against solar energy and is endorsed by the African Kingdoms Federation and ECO6 countries, was launched recently, and there's now a major drive to roll out the currency out in Africa and digitally. The Federation has also announced a $6 trillion stimulus package for the African diaspora, Africa, and kingdoms on the continent. Well, for more on the LUMI and the elimination of debt in Africa, we're now joined live via Zoom from Munich in Germany by the Prime Minister of the African Kingdoms Federation, Timothy E. McPherson. Chief Timothy, thanks very much indeed for joining us, and welcome to the program.
Thank you kindly for having me on the show, Peter. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, so you were instrumental in the creation and introduction of the LUMI digital currency in Accompong in Western Jamaica. What inspired this initiative? It also had real notes in Jamaica.
Absolutely. From a perspective of inspiration, let me be candid about this from the very beginning. The LUMI has its roots in climate change. The region of the Caribbean is impacted by climate change more than any other region on Earth. And then after the Caribbean, of course, you have Africa and Latin America, in particular Brazil. And so the LUMI, when it was first put forth by the indigenous administration, was a no-nonsense solution to the very real problem of climate change.
All right, so last week we spoke to Queen Sheba, Her Imperial Majesty Queen Sheba III, and she told us that this Lumi is pegged against Africa's biggest resource, which is solar energy. And one might think, why not oil or gold or platinum, which is also in abundance on the continent?
Right. Well, indeed, this is a question of monetary policy. We obviously know that in your example, as it pertains
I have a question.
That was how the Middle East and the Emirates achieved its wealth in the 20th century. However, we have taken a good lesson from not only our brothers in the Middle East, but also from the international community. And we recognize that in this 21st century, utilizing petroleum energy or nuclear energy or any non-sustainable source of energy to drive an economy is simply not sustainable and will accentuate the tragedy of climate change that we're currently dealing with. And so by looking at the greatest resource that we have in common between the Caribbean, between South America, and between the continent, we simply did our basic financial engineering and recognized that going forward into the future, there is an infinite supply of sun, and consequently utilizing modern technology, such as liquid organic hydrogen containers, we are also able to capture the sun and transport it in the exact same way that oil and gas is transported. And consequently, we were able to build our financial model around solar energy. Not to say that we've excluded wind energy. And as you will appreciate, as it comes to the commodity of gold, of course, the Lumi is also interfaced with 0.2592 grams of gold. So we haven't excluded gold from the equation, but the primary underwriting is achieved within a 100 solar kilowatt structure per Lumi.
So when did the rollout of the Lumi commence, and what is the current digital currency's footprint in Africa and the diaspora at large across the world?
Well, thank you very much, first of all, for that question, Peter. And let me just start off answering that question by saying the diaspora is extremely excited at the moment about engaging the continent as we approach January 1st of 2021. Now, the whole purpose of ECO6, being the economic community of the sixth region, is to bring economic support and kind of stabilize the continent's economy on the one hand, but also transform it into a global leadership position. And so in our, let me use that word, courting, or our courtship with the continent, we recognized that the first footprint that we must bring to the continent is support during this current financial crisis and economic slowdown as a consequence of COVID-19. And the second footprint is, of course, eliminating the continent's debt. So as we approach 2021, in order for us to have a meaningful, symbiotic cooperation, it is crucial that Africa's debt be absolutely eliminated. And we've already made notice of this, as you recall from your conversation with Her Majesty last week. Cool. But if I can just go back a moment to that first footprint, in terms of addressing the issue of COVID and the collapsing economies that we see both on the continent and throughout the diaspora as it relates to the global African family, we have issued a stimulus, which was first distributed amongst members of the global African family on October 28th. And the second stimulus issuance was issued on November 28th. And that is a stimulus with a parity value of $100 US. And within the context of our currency, that translates into 6.26 Lumi per month. And the stimulus will continue for the next 3 years, the next 36 months. And the logic of that is that we appreciate that the impact of COVID-19 will have a debilitary effect on the global economy for the next 3 to 5 years. And so by utilizing the stimulus, we will be able to drive economic, a basic framework of economic support across the continent and throughout the diaspora. And then, of course, by eliminating the debts, that creates an opportunity for the global African family and the continent proper to focus on this new era of industrialization and, of course, what we call the fourth industrial digital reset and revolution.
All right, we'll talk about.
All right, I have some questions. Does anybody know who that is?
IC3. Who is that guy, by the way?
Yeah, he's a representative of the African. He mentions it at the beginning. Did this person come on late? Yeah. Yeah, and I think he's also a representative of Akompong in Jamaica as well.
See, I have no idea about that. I only know about one person, and his name was Prince Michael. So he's the only person that I know is actually as the head of it, and he was got his status from Kenya. So other than that, there's nobody in charge of the diaspora thing. There's nobody in charge of that because nobody came to a vote. So I don't know how they can issue a currency if nobody came to a vote yet. The only flag.
What do you mean, the African Union?
Right here. This was the only flag for the diaspora, and nobody came to a decision on who is going to run it, how the voting system works. I heard about the passport, but the passport is not a thing yet. So I don't know how these guys are making a currency unless it's his own country decides to do a currency, but how is there a currency when nobody voted yet? So I don't know who this guy is. So I don't know if he's legit or not.
Yeah, you're talking about the African Union. Yes?
Yeah.
Hello?
Nobody did it a vote. How can they make a currency and they didn't ask it? I didn't hear about no stimulus checks. Nobody knows about this. So if anybody has information,
hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
IC? Yeah, he can hear you, brother. He can hear you, brother.
Yeah. So you're talking. All right. You're talking about the African Union. Are you aware of that this currency, as far as I understand it? I mean, it's been explained in the video. This man is
That's
also
just a video. It doesn't. How can you can't go make a currency under another person's status? It doesn't. I don't know who this person is.
Yeah, he's representative of Akompong, Jamaica. I think you missed the beginning of the video, so you can rewind it for yourself and check it out. He's not listening.
The link.
Yeah.
Will
Anyway.
Be
yeah.
Alex,
so let him do his research. Let him do his research. Yeah, I'm not going to explain the video. They've done it already.
Okay.
So have you finished playing?
Yeah. So as we got so far,
there's another link as well.
Which the last link you put in? Was it the last link you put in?
Yes. So it's important to listen to that. Yeah, the second one. That's a woman who's so he should see that.
Okay.
Play that second link. Yeah. That'll answer all these questions that he's asking. Because that's the representatives themselves speaking rather than me speaking.
I just saw in the chat room a brother called Qatar Council talk about he was in the meeting. Brother, I'm putting the link in the chat. If you're around and you want to add some light to the conversation, feel free to jump on.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, Alex, where you calling from, brother?
I don't remember the government of Jamaica nor the Maroons of Jamaica issuing this currency or have anything to do with this currency. Jamaica just bought 750 million yuan from China. I don't remember them issuing. I don't know any news about this. This Lumi
Are you
currency.
Yeah,
are you
find
in
out.
And I
Jamaica
do
right
not know
now,
who
bro?
this person is.
Are you in
Yeah,
Jamaica
you're
right
about to
now?
learn.
No, I'm not in Jamaica. My parents are from Jamaica and South America.
Okay. I was just curious because when you was talking about stimulus checks, I wanted to know where you was coming from when you was saying that and where you
The
was
guy in the
based.
video was saying stimulus checks. No, but I haven't heard any mention. None of the governments that I know have
Did you see
mentioned.
the video from the beginning?
No, I saw when you played the
Okay.
No.
video.
All right,
Yeah.
start when you see the video from the beginning. He kind of introduces himself. He talks about who he is. The man introduces him, and that's where the premise of the currency, how it's set. But again, I don't know because you've just
Okay, I
joined.
know, but like when you look at legislation, you can't. There has to be a website or some sort of legislation. Like there has to be a website saying who the person is, who he got his power from, why is he a representative? I'm asking if anybody
Yeah.
knows
Okay.
who
Watch
he
this.
is, not from the video,
Yeah.
but
We'll find out.
his actual
Yeah.
website where he is, what nation in Africa gave him the power to be a representative, to issue a currency.
Good
That's what I
question.
want to know.
Okay. Good question.
Because as
Great,
far as
Terry.
I'm concerned, the Region 6 did not do an election yet.
Well, let me ask
Okay.
Jamal. Let me ask you this, Jamal. If you can hear
Yes.
us still,
Yep.
when it comes to you setting up the currency and what the brother's talking about, because again, this brother here, we bring him on also because he's set up a bank and a currency in Ghana. So in regards to what the brother's saying as a discrepancy to what he's hearing, what's your view on what he's saying? Did you need to go through a similar system, vote, clarify that for us as somebody who's actually gone through the process?
Yeah, so the way that we're doing things, you don't have to vote on it. It's cryptocurrency, and we have the assets that have instruments behind those assets. So it's like it's a different approach than somebody who's trying to start a bank and needs funding or needs the people's approval. Once you have the paramount chief's approval that this is going to be the currency of that particular nation, then you move forward. As long as the African Union, for us, we just had to get the approval of the African Union, which we already had that because we run the African Union, and we're also the IMF, we're the International Monetary Fund. So we're the ones who actually give them the funds that they need to do what they need to do. So we're on a different level than just a private bank Joe Schmo just start something out. Like the way we're doing it, we're actually the funding mechanism of the country. So it's a different approach than somebody starting from the ground up.
Right. Now, in regards to that video I see free, tell me if I understood it, incorrectly, because I know the brother's going to go back and he's going to watch it from the beginning. But is not this Lumi coin a similar setup to what our brother Jamal has just said on how he set up his? Is there a fundamental difference in what we're hearing? Or have I missed it? Because I'm not an expert. I'm taking it in as we're saying. So again, in your understanding, based on what Jamal said and what we've just watched, are we looking at a similar type structure, but maybe based on a different form of hard currency? Obviously, he's talking about solar energy. Our brother Jamal was talking about land, gold, assets of that type.
Yeah. This guy was also talking about gold. So there appears to be a similarity, but I think as we move on further in the discussion and watch the complete videos, we'll see if there's a difference. Maybe Brother Jamal didn't know, he said, about this Lumi. Maybe there could be the opportunity for them to have a talk. Maybe it could be a
From what I
combination
heard,
here.
there is a huge difference in what we're doing versus the Lumi, in that they want to utilize the sun, right? Which is cool. I'm number one distributor of solar panels on the East Coast here in America. I'm the district manager for Vivint Solar.
That's all.
So just to give you my expertise, I know there's nobody who knows solar more than I do. And what I do know is that when we're dealing with solar energy, the things that gives you the power is not the sun, but the panels. Okay, so the question is who's going to be manufacturing the panels, and who is going to be running the panels? You see, because the thing about Africa is this: yes, they have all these resources, right? They have all these natural resources, but the issue is, and we can say the same thing for Jamaica, is what is the infrastructure that we're going to be using to retrieve those assets, to get them up out of the ground, right? Who's funding those projects, and who's making money on top of that? So now, the one thing I do know about solar panels is the number one distributors of solar panels is China. So if we're going to say that, we're going to deal with solar energy, that means that Jamaica must be having some conversations with China if they're going to be the new superpower of the world in the process of doing so. Because we're talking about giving people of the diaspora the ability to be the superpower of the world. That's what this whole thing is about. It's not about just fitting in. We're not trying to just get by. We're trying to be in control. So in order to be in control, everything that you're using has to come from you. So if we're going to put solar energy as the backing power of that, I want to know how they're doing it if they're not manufacturing solar panels on site in Jamaica. That would be an impossibility. And I know they don't have the resources to actually take over the infrastructure of solar panels the way China already has. So now we have to have a discussion as to.
So hold on, just to be clear, so again, the resources there, the sun, great. But in order for them to not give China the key positioning, they would have to be manufacturing the panels themselves, or else China would effectively have a major stake in that currency. Because he did mention a wattage, a specific wattage energy level that they're measuring each coin or currency on. So they've clearly thought about it. And I would assume that's going to be based on your panel size, etc., how much your unit is going to make of energy a time, and all this kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's what I want to quickly inject into that, because this is the reason why when I mentioned stable coin, understanding if you have a coin and it's backed by something, who is that backer? Because the backer is going to determine who has the full control over the situation. It's the same thing with the bank. You can open a bank, but who is going to support the bank in its format? Are you going to be supported by a World Bank? Are you going to be supported by the IMF? Are you going to be supported by who? So those are the major factors, because the people on the top of it will make the major decisions.
That's right. That's right. So with us, we're supported by the IMF. We're supported by the actual paramount chiefs of Ghana, who are sitting on all of these assets. So that's what gives us the advantage pretty much over everything in the world right now. It's kind of like low key, our situation is running the planet. When you have the IMF controlling everything, then you see who really has the power. You see what I'm saying? So we have all the TBC boxes. There's a whole lot more into it as far as our assets. It's not just the gold, the diamonds, and the congolite. We also have other assets as well. It's to the tune of billions. So it's not a small thing. This is not something where we're just a startup trying to make it happen. We already have the paperwork and everything that we need, filing the courts. We're already good to go. Now all we're doing is getting the people involved that we want involved. We didn't even produce a maximum amount of coins that we could have, because we don't want everybody having it. This is not a free-for-all. That's going to be the first giveaway. Is when you see that any and everybody jump on it and use it, that's the first giveaway that it's not going to be for us. What's for us is going to be for us. So we're making sure that we hold stake first and foremost, that melanated people hold stake in the coin and in the bank first and foremost before anybody gets to tap into it. You know what I'm saying? So we make sure we're not giving up over 50% of our share of what's going on. So that's the difference. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, it's about what's going to back those assets. And we plan to bring solar energy to Ghana. We're going to be bringing solar farms and things of that nature, but by no means will we allow the solar industry be the backing, for it, because like I said, we don't control that industry as of yet.
Yeah, and to put a note to that is for people that don't understand, it's like money. Money has no strength on its own. It has to have some form of backing in forms of assets. This is why we go into forms of stock exchange, and we do what we have to do in that way. So once you understand that, as they say in the old days, that money is an IOU, you have to understand that it's just a piece of paper or a note to say I've got this asset.
No doubt. No doubt. And that's the problem with modern day finances. They've removed the hard backing of your money. So it has no value right now. You're trading just on the paper. That's it.
They're literally, you're actually trading your life. And that's what people don't realize. America went bankrupt several times. The first time that they went bankrupt, they gave up the social security numbers. The second time that they went bankrupt, they gave up the birth certificates. So now they're actually trading on your actual life. So if you take your social security right now and you type it in, I can give you the website where you could type it in and you'll be able to see your social security number being traded on the stock market right now. You see what I'm saying? And they've been doing this for a long time. The only problem is you don't get a cut of the dividends that's being produced by you being traded on the stock market. You see? So they just running off with the bread, and they got all these different companies from all around the world trading on your soul. So that's the difference. They said that America stole God's chosen people. That's what they meant by that, because we are the jewel. Our actual lives are the jewel. So the gold and the diamonds is one thing, but your actual life is even more precious. So when you have the influence of the people, that's a powerful thing, and that's what they run their currency off of right now. And that's why it's such a shakedown, because they're seeing that people are losing faith in them. So now that we don't have they can't draw off of our attention, right? Because now the attention is currency. Now that they can't do that, and we're looking in other places, and such as cryptocurrency, that's why you see the big scare going on right now, and why America is falling, because no longer they can depend on the American people being the backup and being the main asset that drives their currency.
Yeah, in funny in saying that, that's why I say that's the magic trick, the thing that you don't see. So that's where it brings. You have to ask yourself the old saying in forms of sales: it's only valuable to the buyer. So how much is that valuable to you to able to create that exchange? But yeah, so in saying that, we're gonna play this little bit clip of this other video to get a little bit of a in depth on the situation before we go back in.
Holding virtual summits in the past few months discussing ways to eliminate Africa's debt, the stimulus package, and the introduction of a digital currency called the Lumi. Joining us again for this conversation is Queen Sheba III. So you were telling us a bit about this currency, the Lumi currency.
Tell us a bit more about why this currency is needed, this digital currency.
This digital currency is needed. It is the time. Everything has its time to become. The Lumi currency, it's long in coming. It's come from luminous, the sun. When you think about the African countries, Africa is the most beautiful, magnificent, and the most powerful continent on this planet. It is the home of all of the nations and the people born of the earth. And yet no African currency can be used outside of Africa. When we look at the South, all of the South, be it Africa, be it the ECO6 community, which is the nation states and territories of the Americas and wherever the diaspora are around the world, most of the countries and islands we cannot use, there is no currency that we can use outside. We're about to open the open market, the African open market. We must have a currency that equates to the needs of Africa, that can fulfill what is needed, and the diaspora, that we have something that is solid, that can be used by the people in a new era. We cannot go into another era at the back door or at the bottom of the whole monetary chain. We cannot. We have to do better. We have the potential, we have the possibility, and Africa is an adult. It's a continent. So therefore, it's very important. It's not isolating other countries, but it's saying it's time for Africa. It's time we silence the guns and we silence the hunger. We are going through a pandemic. If we have to go through as Africa any further, that we cannot use the money, the value of the money of Africa is nothing. It's a part of the fiat. The fiat is going to be obsolete by 2040. So therefore, we must come together as Africa, and the ECO6 is an integral part of Africa. It's the sixth economic community. We have the wealth, the most wealth on this planet. Over 30% is in Africa. So therefore, and we have the sun. So if we put the energy and if we put the wealth together, which we have, then we have something that should have been there already to eradicate poverty from the vocabulary of the African continent and to support the African nations and governments in now exercising their functions as government to see that Africa is head and not tail, and working with the other countries, contributing with the other countries, isolating none, but working in unity with all. So the currency, it is time. 2020 may be the time that we have seen the pandemic, but 2020 is also the sign of clarity of vision, and it is time. The diaspora has come together. I said, we are the children born outside. We are from the outside, yet we are from the inside. And when you come together and unite as the children and the people of Africa, then we have something so invincible that we have a better legacy to leave to our children, and we can stop the hunger, we can stop what is happening in the settlements, we can change the course of African history. So the Lumi, which is for the sun, it is important because we are the children of the sun. We are of this continent. And I cannot think of a better name than the African Kingdom's Lumi, because it is our heritage, it's who we are, and it's who we stand for before the Almighty.
So oftentimes when talking digital in terms of currencies, we still have places in Africa where there's no bandwidth or telecoms infrastructure, and not to mention access to mobile phones or tablets. How do we get past this?
We have been having the summits every Monday since the 5-day summit we have in September. And the purpose was to roll out and show to the attendees from government, from the captains of the industry, what we are doing towards this agenda. And one of it is also seeing 2 projects which we will be financing ourselves for the different internet facilities within the most rural regions. We are busy with the transport system. One of them is the fantastic string transport, Skyway, and the linear cities from Weber, all of these places. So we are going into the rural regions. When the rural region have the basic of transportation, it means the farmers in those regions have now the facilities to get their goods from A to Z. So therefore, you have then that potential to now develop self and start eradicating poverty. So we are busy on that. We will be seeing to the facilitation of the internet and Wi-Fi. We are going to have discussions as well on providing the cell phones. And most important, when we can roll out the Lumi and have the supply chain using the Lumi, it has the stores using the Lumi alongside the currencies within Africa, it means the economic community themselves will live up to their obligation and see within their county, within their district, within their areas that they reach out to their people. Because now you have your people that have, alongside their salaries, what they're earning, they each have a $100 equivalent of rands in their pocket every 28th of the month. It means economics is growing. So therefore, it is in the interest of the economic community or the economic sector to come together, register for the merchant's account, see that the people can use the AKL in their different establishments. And with that, we can now expand even more the internet facilitation, because it helps not just the people to get online for the Lumi, but it also helps facilitates for the schools and whatever is needed in this digital era.
Now, as we wrap up our conversation, I want to find out the link between the LUMI and mitigating against climate change. We live in an era where many places in South Africa and elsewhere in the world are devastated by climate-related disasters.
One of the biggest agenda is it is climate change. It is important because now we have the LUMI, and the LUMI is based on the energy and the goal underneath the soil of Africa. So therefore now we can now address realistically climate change. We can now see for the housing that is needed for the people away from the danger zones. We can see for the curbing of people using the firewood to the cutting down the trees. We can see to eliminating the alien plants that is now being such a big problem in Africa. So climate change, the Sustainable Development Agenda, the SDGs, all of that, we can now finance by Africa because we have the finance to get it done. We have it, we have been building on the LUMI for quite some time, and now we are ready to roll it out. So all of the different agendas that we have been showing every Monday, and we will keep every Monday until 2023, it's towards seeing to climate change, seeing that we access deep-seated water and surface water, seeing that we introduce the energy that is needed, and this in support of the governments. There's no one having to pay us back because the energy is by the Almighty God, it's free. And so is the goal under our feet. We met it here. And we do not need to take it out, we just need to peg it against the currency. So the currency is there and we can start working together. What we need is for the economic community to join hands and see that we roll out the AKL, the African Kingdoms LUMI, throughout the economic community. So everyone so far who has already gotten the LUMI in October, November, and soon this December can start shopping and doing whatever is needed, especially now with this pandemic.
That was Queen Sheba III, the head of the African Federation Kingdoms, speaking to us about the elimination of debt in Africa and the diaspora and the LUMI digital currency.
All right. Shed a bit more light on the situation.
Okay.
Yeah,
So before we go in, before we talk about what we've just heard, at the same time, because this is more on the terminology of the coin and the asset and the power of that coin, but as we were talking about as well, is in the forms of how do we connect the understanding of how we connect the reparations to the bank, to the coins. So I want us able to have that understanding throughout all three in that perspective. But before we go into that, let's talk about what we just heard so far.
Boy, from what I heard, it don't
Jamal,
change.
be interested to hear what you have
Jamal
to say.
said. Well, from what Jamal said, he will speak for himself. But from what he said, from my point of view, again, everything she's saying is 100% credible. But if we're talking about the conversion of the sun through the panels to the power to something that we can quantify and use as currency, then, as he said, the manufacturing, that whole process has to be laid out clearly that we're holding the major position in that situation. Because, as I said, if another country is holding us by the balls, so to speak, by the only one that can manufacture a major part to this whole, backbone of this currency, that's a problem. That's a problem. But anything else she said, I didn't have a problem. So Jamal, speak for yourself, brother.
Yeah, I mean, no matter how you chop this thing up at its foundation, it's going to come down to how they're producing energy with the sun. And whoever has that is the one who has the one up on any and everything that's going on. They can shut this thing down anytime they feel like it, just by simply saying we're no longer going to produce panels for Jamaica. Just like that. It's over. You see what I'm saying? So, we build something, to look at the end result and the destination is great, but you can't reverse engineer this. You literally have to build it from the ground up. So it's a whole different conversation when you're talking sovereignty of a people. If Africa wants to be sovereign, then they have to be just that. They have all the metals, they have all the resources they need to actually create their own solar panels, but they haven't. You see, and that's not in the discussion when talking about Lumi. So that right out the gate, you know, is a red flag for me. If the end result is for Africa to be sovereign, that ain't the way to do it. They have to, without by any means necessary, build it from the ground up, no matter how long it takes. You know, right now they have everything that they need. It's just a matter of them breaking down some of these barriers and these walls from colonialism that prevent them from doing trade from one country to the next for the resources that they need. That's what made Africa so great. Like when you look at, you know, I'm a Kemetic priest, so when I look at, you know, when black people were great, when we were kings in ancient Kemet, the thing that made us great was our ability to have trade routes from Egypt to all around the continent and abroad. It's trade routes. So this is why the digital currency has become such a commodity because it allows us to trade digitally, you see, and, you know, and just ship whatever we need. So, you know, that digital aspect, creating that own coin, is the missing piece. You have to have your own form of currency in your own market that you trade on, that is not subject to the rules and regulations of your oppressors. You have to move in divine law and common law as opposed to national and federal law. So all of these things, it's a lot of variables that you need in play in order for this thing to run smoothly and to be sustainable, because it'll look pretty in the beginning until you realize, wait a minute, we don't actually control this infrastructure. And then that's when things start to fall apart. So, you know, I would definitely do some reconstruction on that. Whoever's running Lumi, I would get down to the nitty gritty and I say, you know, the bottom line is, okay, we're getting energy from the sun. How are we getting the energy from the sun? Who's providing those resources? Before we talk about anything else.
Yeah, let me add to that because that when I hear that, it's already giving me two flaws in the situation. First most is, what part of Africa are you going to get your sun from? Because not every part, because of climate, weather climate, that you're going to get constant sun anyway. So then you've got to look at the forms of jurisdiction and laws of where you are actually getting the sun from, depending on what area, what tribe, what country, what county you're dealing with. So
Yeah.
So there is a big altercation in that situation, because as we know, African is not a secluded connecting in each country that have become one yet, and there's no unification yet that they have the same mindset of moving forward. They're working towards it. Like even recently, they're now going to release as they call it, the African passport. And that's just the beginning and the foundation. But at this precise moment, if you're releasing a coin, you want to know that you are prepared for every situation at that same time you release that coin. So then you already have a flaw before you even begin. Then, right, as Jamal was talking about, the solar power is another altercation in the fact of, who are you going to get these solar powers from, when you should able to educate people to able to create solar powers, so that the people of the African lands can able to manufacture that. Because one thing that you will know about Africa and China, the one thing that they both have in common is population. And if we utilize the population, then we're able to train the population and educate the people. But then at the same time, are they ready to be educated? Because there's a conflict there. So me putting it overall in that factor is that we have situations that need to be clarified before we actually go into saying that we're going to release something when the foundation itself is a bit vulnerable. But yes, I see free.
Yes. Okay. So it's interesting. So the reparations is is part two, but let's deal with this banking. So Jamal, how would you deal with the security problems that appear to be weak from the Lumi point of view? This Nibiru the Nibiru model of banking, how would you deal with the security issues?
Well, right now we also have, because of our jurisdiction, we have our instruments held across several banks around the world. It's not just one bank. You know, you can't, the type of money that we're dealing with and the type of assets that we have, you can't, no bank can even hold that much. So, you know, like I said, we're talking to the tunes of billions. So in order for you to take over our infrastructure, you're literally going to have to take over all the major banks of the world. It's not even going to be, and it's not even that. You also have to take down all the major families, the royal families of the world, because we have their royal family thumbprints on our paperwork. It's not something where, you know what I mean? Like I said, this isn't, this is bigger than what you've seen. Like realistically, we're already in control, family. Like this discussion is cool, but we already passed this. We already run this shit. It's a matter of getting people to understand that we actually have the power, stand up from the table and start applying the power that you have. Have faith in the fact that you're actually running this now. It's no longer in the hands of your oppressor. Thus the reason why you see what's happening in America. They haven't had the power for quite some time now. The dollar's been demonetized.
So Jamal, so what is your relationship with your organization with the African Union? What's the name of your organization? So the currency is the Nibiru. What's the name of the organization? Your organization?
Mine is not Nibiru Freedom Coin and Nibiru Freedom Bank. Right. I'm the CFO of the bank.
What's the name of the bank?
So I'm going to be running the bank in Nibiru Freedom Bank.
Okay.
And my particular branch is the Bank of Ghana.
So what's that? The Bank of Ghana is your backers.
Nibiru Freedom Bank. Yeah, we're already approved by EcoBank as well as the African Union.
Right. So your organization is called the Nibiru Freedom Bank. Yes. And your relationship with Ghana is what?
I just became an investor in Ghana, and then as me being the CFO of the bank, the paramount chief contacted me to help him to monetize his assets that he's sitting on. So I'm kind of the liaison between the bank and the paramount chief of Ghana, one of the paramount chiefs of Ghana.
Oh, does that make sense? Okay, right. So
listen, like most countries in Africa, they're sitting on the assets and they don't have the funding to get it out of the ground to monetize it. You see, so they're sitting on gold, colonite, things, all those type of things, diamonds, but they don't have none of the tools. They don't have the excavators. They don't have the bulldozers. So this is where we come into play, because we got the funding to get them everything that they need to get it out of the ground. Plus, with a bank, so now we can take that gold and turn it into money and distribute it amongst the people. So I'm the person that brought all of the people into the bank. My following of 30,000 people jump started it. So the coin, we use the coin as our way of distributing the funds around between each other. And everybody's not in this. Like anybody can't get the coin. In order to get the coin, you got to come through us. You can't just sign up on Coinbase and find our coin. It's decentralized. So now we're bringing the power to us exclusively. You see, to where not anybody buy Bitcoin right now. Anybody. Yeah, you have to be within the community, and it has to be spent within the community. So that's the relationship, and and the power that we have now, because we have not only the people, but we also have the bank and the funding. That's all we were always missing. We always, in one era of life, we always had all the people, power to the people, but we were broke. Then there's a time when we had all the money, but the people was everywhere with it. It's like, I'm gonna get paid and go do my own thing. Now, for the first time in history, we have a position in which everybody has mobilized, and we're ready to take our funds and put it in one exclusive space that we control.
So, who are the we? Or who are the we?
Hold on. I see three. 1 sec before you ask that next question.
Patar Council's here. Patar.
Yes, I'm there. Yes. Greetings,
Yeah.
family.
Greetings.
Yeah. What I was saying. I attended the last two meetings where they was discussing the Lumi, and I thought the idea sounded very plausible because, like they said, whatever they're doing, backed up by the chiefs and the kings, they have approved the currency. They have approved because they have the Royal African, almost like a university, where, and I think that for me, I was very impressed when I heard the Queen of Sheba spoke. And last week, 2 years ago, she passed a couple decrees where she launched, she have to put the silver in Jamaica amounts the by the she wanted to put it in Jamaica amongst the maroons. Yes.
The maroons, yeah.
And she was saying the reason because the other guy then suggested because we have been sabotaged by those people, we cannot trust and put our silver in Sweden or put it amongst Europeans because once they control it, they can control anything that's going on. So she was saying she have put they put money forward, and she said that she preferred the silver to be in Jamaica amongst the maroons. The maroons have an exclusive part of Jamaica, and that's what she was saying.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
And she have had several meetings with the maroons, and she was saying again, like she said a while ago, the money would be generated from the resources of Africa because she had brought together the kings and the chiefs to come together in order for them to back up. And it was I have the meetings recorded because I have a couple of the meetings recorded because I think it took in my archive, so I have them recorded.
I would love to see that. I'd ask you, bro. During the meeting, did they talk about, because earlier on, I don't know whether you was hearing us when we was talking about the video, we were talking about the fact of the solar power and how it's produced and solar panels and whatever. Was there any part of the meeting where they referenced that kind of conversation, the production of solar power, that being something that they either need to work on or is happening, or was that touched on at any point?
Well,
if you can remember, that is,
maybe when I came in, it had already spoken about, but when I was at a meeting, they was looking at the grassroots, how to mobilize people, but I did not hear they spoke about solar power. I can't remember, maybe they might have spoken about it, but I was so excited, I may not have clocked that one.
Yeah, because we have to differentiate on the factors of where the solar power comes from, because as Jamal would state earlier, is that if they're buying the solar powers from China and China decides to say, you know what, we're not supplying you no more, it's like a blackmail ransom to the situation.
Yeah, that is true. What I think, because a Caucasian guy came and he had a suggestion where he said that I'm white, but I've been to I've traveled to Africa 183 times, and he was talking about how we received in Ghana, in Kenya, and he was saying how he suggested also he supported the fact we should have a silver, but he suggested places like Sweden and them places. And the Queen came and she paused and she said, "This is a black thing. I thank you. I thank you for your advice, but we Africans have to take care of our own business out. You all getting involved, we have to take care of our house. Before y'all want to come and suggest to us, because if y'all have to keep controlling our house, then y'all control us." And she put him down.
That's right.
Respectfully, but very lightly. And I was very impressed by that.
Right. Diplomacy.
Very, very much. I was very impressed by that, how she put him down. And after, they had a little and then the crowd ratified that no Caucasian should speak when we are speaking because it's our business, our house. And that's where that Kimberly suggested that we should do it in a way where people are invited, so we know who is coming, who is in the meeting, because the meeting cannot be again by people that don't have our best interest at heart.
Right, right. So Jamal, who are the we that you are discussing? Who are the people that are in your group, your 30,000 or whatever, your followers?
Oh, I have a following. My company is called the Lighthouse Movement LLC. We did not foresee any of this when we were doing what we were doing. Our essential goal was simply just to mobilize Black people, the people of diaspora, IDOS, all of that. Just mobilizing people who were descendants of slavery, who have lost their history, helping them to tap into consciousness and to elevate their mind state. And that grew into an activist group to where we started using our monies and putting our dollars together, using group economics to service things such as the Flint, Michigan water crisis, and taking people to trips to Africa so they could experience the pyramids for the first time, or even as small as taking people to museums so they could have tours and learn how to read hieroglyphs. All different types of things we do in my organization. But essentially, when the brother who was creating the bank and the coin had approached me, it was essentially because he knew I had the ability to mobilize the people, and he had the bank experience and the banking prerequisites to be able to start a bank. So we just took it was a win-win. I brought the people, he brought the infrastructure, and the rest is history. So, a lot of people have followers online.
Jamal. Don't give them too much, because remember, Jamal's going to be coming back. He's going to be doing a show by himself where we're going to go in. So he ain't going to give you too much. So I know your appetite's wet right now on what he's doing, but I'm going to give him a dedicated sector to go in on everything he's doing and really go in and break it down. But we're almost 2 hours, and hold on. I want us to get into the reparations piece.
Yeah, but that's where I was going. That's where I was going.
Yeah,
of the reparations in that we've discussed the currency, we've discussed the bank, but now if we in forms of understanding the reparations, and we're not, it's not in that format of just asking for money, but then if we got assets, how would we able to distribute the assets to the people, as in a form of and I had an idea from you before, in the fact of if someone was coming to claim, they had to bring some form of proposal to actually claim, because you know what, the true people that are supposed to have the reparations have passed away. So, but the people that are receiving the traumas have to bring something to the table. So I want you, IC3, to kind of give us an elaboration on what you see for a reparations bank.
Right. Okay. So now we'll switch to the topic of reparations. Now, there are a number of models the only model I've heard of for reparations is there's been much discussion about how to what size this one payoff will be. That's all the different strategies. Who should get the payoff? It's a one-off pay. Well, what do they say? One-off payment of reparations, and a lot of people have been pushing down that idea. But the idea we discussed is the concept of not going for a one-off payment as such, but to have a process where reparations are paid in an ongoing claim-by-claim basis. So there would be an organization, the Reparations Bank would be an organization that would be, for every claim, for every reparation claim, It could come in terms of money. It could come in terms of currency. It could come in terms of artifacts. It could come in terms of resources. And the reparations bank system would split the incoming reparations into saleable assets and unsaleable assets. So half of the incoming resources, it could be money, gold, information, as it's coming in, as the money comes in, that would come into one side where that could be used to buy. So basically, we'll talk about that half. Just like the police and the government, when they're looking for a criminal, they offer rewards for any evidence that leads to the capture of that criminal. So as the resources are coming in, the money and currency can be used to reward people that provide evidence that can be used for another successful reparation claim. Does that make sense? So you have to be, we're rewarding people for providing evidence. So as the claim comes in, as a payment comes in, then there'll be evidence with it, and that evidence itself is an asset. So there's no point just taking getting money or an item or information.
I see free.
Yes, that makes sense. Okay. Go on.
I see free.
Yeah, can you hear me?
No, I hear what you're saying, but let me put this forward, because we've been talking about banks and reparations. Now we're on that, but we've already established that the safest banks are offshore, meaning that they're not in the back door, the backyard of our enemy. But at the same time, the reparations is for a lot of people that may not leave the diaspora. So are we all in the joint thinking that in order for wherever this system is to work, whether or not our central banks are offshore, in Africa, in Jamaica, wherever, we will still need an organization, some setup that you're talking about to receive these claims of some sort here in the UK or in America, because again, the people that are benefiting from that money mostly are going to be still situated in the diaspora, in the very places themselves. So I just wanted to clarify that. Are we all in agreement with that? Does that make sense? Am I thinking mad?
No, I'll address that. Point. So as the resources are coming in from the reparations, claim by claim, step by step, that entity processes those resources that are coming in, and then they go out to other organizations that may be placed in different places throughout the diaspora and Africa. So you got to see there's a process. One, the reparations coming in, then it moves on to, it fans out into different organizations in different places under different managements to process those resources for their locality. Does that make sense? Just like what Jamal's saying, having a central bank or a center that then looks after or sends out resources to the different parts of the world that will be spending for the benefit of the local community, black community. Is that correct, Jamal? It's for the black community only, or is it for anybody?
Yeah, I mean,
definitely.
It's not for us only. It's for us to dominate. You see,
How's that?
Let's put it this
Is
way:
it black
you're not going to be able to win. You're not going to be able to win thinking you're just going to be able to exclude white people. That ain't going to work. We're way too past that already. We already have mixed families and all of that going on. So the goal is to have a limited supply of this currency, and in that limited supply, we own more than 51% of that limited supply. As long as we maintain those numbers, we have one up. Always.
What did you say?
That's the way
51%?
the stock market works. That's the way economic 51%. As long as we maintain 51%, we have the one up. So it's always going to come down to checks and balances at the end of the day. Who controls more of the profit? Right now, we are like
I see Free saying that based on reparations,
95 to 5%. So when we dealing with reparations, let's put it this way: as far as me and the way I see it, we won't even need reparations at this point. Where we're at right now, they can keep their currency because it's trash. It's 3 cents on the international market. It doesn't mean anything. So this is why they can give you Harriet Tubman bills now all of a sudden and start putting your face on the currency, because it has no value. It's demonetized when it doesn't have assets back to it. So they're giving you trash. So to even sit down and have the discussion of, we need reparations, we already know that's like a hand trick when we're dealing with the oppressor. Anytime they give us something, they take something simultaneously. It's never just, they're just going to give us some money and we straight. They're now moving into a whole different form of currency. They don't even accept cash in a Walmart no more. Okay, so sitting down and be like, we need to discuss, if you're going to discuss reparations, and it better be in cryptocurrency. Otherwise, it's not even acceptable, in my opinion, because that's literally just spitting in our faces, because you're handling something that's devalued at this point. If y'all would have did it 20 years ago, maybe we'd have been able to entertain the conversation. But right now, in today's day and time, to talk reparations and to talk US dollars, that's a joke. That's a joke. I'll accept even you talking about euros or yens before we talk USD. USD is trash. So, let's talk assets. Let's talk land. Let's talk things that we can monetize and create the value for ourselves, what we want to put the value on it. You see, as opposed to what you've placed value on it. Because at any given time, they could give you $1 million, and then overnight, inflation, and now that $1 million ain't worth $1 million no more. $1 million was 20, 40 years ago. All it did was inflate the market and start producing more bills, and now that makes your money into less value. So we already know these tricks. We've already been down this road of what they owe us, 40 acres and a mule. You know what? Keep the 40 acres and a mule. We just gonna go and get our land that's already ours and kick y'all the hell out and trade amongst ourselves and make sure that we have the majority of the profit the way that it works. And if y'all want to come in, y'all we can divvy you up. So just know you ain't going to be in here controlling nothing. You're just going to be helping things circulate, and that's it. That's just so we don't have to war. We can trade. Exactly.
Jamal, so how can we?
Because I think that's the key.
Jamal, so how can one get involved in the project that you're doing with the cryptocurrency?
What we've done is we've taken the cream of the crop of our community, those that actually care about group economics and don't mind taking their monies from out of the American infrastructure and placing it into something that's Black owned. That's the first and foremost. Everybody can't go. We have to have that understanding, right? Some of the Black people that we have around us, we're going to have to treat them like white folk too, because it ain't just about the color of your skin, all skin folk and kin folk. So there's some of us that look like us, but they still have that mentality, that Western mentality. So those we can't allow into. We have to vet this thing. Like, we really have to take it seriously enough to it. We vet every single person that comes in. So as they come in and they're putting their dollars in here, we give them specific resources that they're able to use for the time being in the beginning, so that we can circulate amongst ourselves. It's not public right now. It's all decentralized. So nobody's going to have access to this except for us, those who are in here. Then as the market gets stronger, because it started off at $12 per coin, now it's up to $48. That's in a matter of a month and a half. We went from 12 to 48. So everybody that came in that invested $1,000 now is sitting on $4,000. You see, because we kept it within our infrastructure. We already have the financial backing to drive the coin up as high as we want, whatever we want. There's no losses here because we're already funded. Now we start moving up this infrastructure bigger and bigger and bigger, but we're trading amongst ourselves, not amongst our oppressors. So they can't come in and do anything with that. Everybody that's in this network was already in the network to begin with. We already have a love for one another. We're a community. We all bought land in Ghana. So now we have our actual estates linked with one another. We have our village. We're building a city in Sinakwe Kram right now in Ghana. So we're going to have our official currency, our official nation. We're going to be moving the way we should be moving. The only thing that can mess this up is allowing people from the outside to come in and take more of the stake than we allow for ourselves. So
white
no
people will be
illusion,
involved,
you know, in this situation.
Are you saying
Sorry.
white people?
What's that?
Sorry, Jama, just one more question. Sorry. Jama, but if you're saying that the banks that backing you up are maybe European based, how can we protect our backing? Because if the backers are as like-minded as we are, then we have a level of stability and guarantee. But if our guarantors or our backing are Eurocentric or Euro-Asian based, then what's the guarantee that they will be loyal to us and not somebody else?
So the banks that we're using, all we did was walk our instruments into there. They do not have our control of our instruments. We have the control of the instruments. So the banks that we're using is EcoBank, which is an African-based bank, as well as the African Union as well. So we're not using those banks for the entirety of where they own more stake than we do. Where you can use their banks, not to say that you have to totally cut them off. You can use their infrastructures. As long as you control 51% of the assets, you're fine. That's all it is. So right now, we're at about 95%. They control everything, and 5% of our monies, which is the majority of the money that's being circulated in the world, we control. So when we get our money, we take it and we put it right back into their infrastructure, and it keeps circulating amongst them as opposed to circulating amongst us. When we get our money, it circulates amongst us. They have some stake in it, of course, they provide stability, but they don't actually have all of the assets. We have all of the assets. So it's going to come down to not the money, but the assets. Who's in control of the assets? Who's in control of the instruments? And that's what we have.
Who's the we? Is there white people in the we?
Is there white people? Yeah, of course, absolutely. There's white people in there, but they don't control it. They don't control it. They're not the controllers of it. As long as they're not the controllers of it, you're fine. See, pro-black is not anti-white. This is what people gotta understand. Yes. Being pro-black is not anti-white. It's learning how to do business and do good business to the point where you're the one who has the one up at all times, no matter what. You always maintain control. It's just like when an artist gets a record deal. If you don't own your masters, if they own the masters, no matter how many records you produce, they run your career. You have to always establish that, yeah, okay, I'm going to give you 2 albums, but after those 2 albums, for the next 10 albums, I'm on my own. I'm independent and I'm running it on my own. But many of us have signed into these lifetime contracts consciously with our oppressor. It's okay to do business with them, but don't allow them to control everything. That's where you go wrong.
How are you going to control the white people in your organization?
So we have 98 black people and you have 2 white people, it's not hard to control those 2 white people at all. But when you allow it to get to the point, it's not hard at all. When you get to the point where the majority of infrastructure or even half your infrastructure is white people, then it becomes more strenuous. So you always want to make sure that you're vetting it. So the way that we move, first off, you know, the white people that I think we have 3 out of the people that we have. Out of all the people that we have, I think maybe 3 of them are white. And those 3 people that are white, they're just shareholders. That's it. No positions. They don't have positions. They're just shareholders.
Right. And that's the key element.
None of them hold positions of authority.
Right. Because I think that might be misconstrued straight away.
They're only shareholders.
Hiring white people. Yeah, if we're doing any sort of if we're doing any sort of banking, let alone a reparation setup for banking, you can't have white people in any positions. That would be a mockery of the very thing that we're doing. So I can see your face already. I see free, like where you're just thinking,
no, they're not going to be in positions of power. They're shareholders, meaning they're moving money around, but they're not in positions of power. That's moving money around. That's where you go left. Yeah, like anybody else, like any other currency. White people have black currency, have black white dollars. Black people have white. White people have white dollars. Spanish people have white dollars. They just move around currency. That doesn't put them in a position of power where they can dictate, who can go to war. No, they don't have that ability. They can dictate who's going to get the first FEMA camps.
Let me put this forward. If we're talking about reparations, so again, we're talking about the distribution of this so-called, reparations payment, if it was to come. As I said already, certain of our people are not going to be leaving the diaspora. Facts.
Right.
Yeah, they're going to be looking to take that money and stay where they are. So by default, I would think they're going to need not only black brokers, as I said, an organization that's in tune, that's networking, that's directly connected to that central bank offshore, but there's going to be white involvement based on the fact that people are going to want to stay in these origin countries. Does that make sense?
Let me.
That makes perfect sense. What I say is let them stay. What I say is.
Go on, 1 second, Jamal.
What I say is let.
Right. So what I was going to say, just on a quick note, is to have a clear understanding. In forms of reparations, we know that there's no one white. We're not going to able to have any form of European. Let's not even say white. Let's say European in that factor of the reparations. But in the forms of the reparations to happen, you're still going to have some form of involvement with the Europeans in the fact that if they're going to give you something, they're going to have to transfer from one place to another.
Yeah.
Now, for them to able to do that, there has to be some form of accountancy or reliability on the situation of both parties involved in that situation, right?
Yep. Continue.
Now,
yep.
In the forms of it going into the bank itself, let's say the reparations bank, we still can have black people, but when it comes to forms of business, we have to understand, like McDonald's or KFC, you have the CEO, you have all the management, the money circulates around the round table of the CEO and the board of directors, but they do not refuse any form of color to come and buy McDonald's.
Shareholding.
Right.
Anyone can.
Yeah, because they're buying the product, they're customers.
Yes.
They're seeing us a thriving market.
So to make the currency flourish, it has to go in everybody's hand in forms of the currency. But in forms of reparations,
that's right.
As I said once
again, 100%.
Yeah, in the reparations itself, it's not about giving people money, but in the fact of my ideology of it is to give someone a start-off point. In the fact of if I come with a business plan or a structure for my community to able to establish themselves in any form of business, then you come along and I will provide that. Because the reason why I'm saying it, if we ever get reparations, it's really the people that own the reparations, they're all dead. So in looking at that, we are descendants of the trauma. So the descendants of the trauma is giving you a head start to recover from that trauma. So it's another business. But when we're doing business, we can't shut shop from everybody. I mean, we can't just open up the shop to just a particular group, but open shop to all.
Yesterday I heard
this conversation is very confusing.
sorry, today I heard in America they were saying that I think they were saying that they have to give I think $7 or $10 trillion in reparation, and one state in America already allocated $1 million as to start the reparatory process. I think in Texas or somewhere. I think that is a process that have to be managed, have to be studied, because our spending habits is appalling.
Yeah,
I mean, we have to learn to be disciplined, because during the time of the Black Wall Street, our money circulate, I think, 12 times in our community before it go out, of 14 times. Our people, need help in a sense of the ability to learn to be disciplined. There was a survey a few years ago here, and they interviewed an Asian, a Caucasian, and a Chinese. They asked them, children, what makes them happy? The Asian said, I think, business, and the Black children said shoes, clothes, mobile phones. And that was a sad thing.
Because in saying that, in the just 1 second, IC3, in saying that, it's the factors of like how the Asians work. There's one, they create one source, and that source is the wholesaler. You see many wholesalers, and then you see all the shops that you see around connect to this one wholesaler. So when it comes to the reparations, is that same format, in the fact that we have this reparations bank, and we are connected to who needs to be connected to that situation. Because you're not just going to get someone that's just going to come off the street and say, yeah, I want some money, and that's it. Because that's when the spending habits come in, where someone's going to go into that bank and come back out with a Ferrari.
Yeah, I think the discipline, we need to be disciplined. We need to learn business. We need to be re-educated. I think we need schools. We need so many things. I think we need so many things for us to be able to deal with money. We don't respect money. We don't understand money, a lot of us. I'm happy the young children today are getting more involved in it. But I think that's what we need, But sorry, IC3, yes.
Go on, IC3.
Right, can I explain? Yeah, okay. Can I say that the input, the organization that takes in the reparations is going to be different from the organization that organizes the spending and use of the reparations. There's two different things, two different boxes. So if you mix them all together, it's called confusing. So we're going to talk about the box, the spending box, not the input box, but the output box. So the output box is that the reparations will not, as far as I understand, on my plan, will not be going to individuals. The reparations come into the input to the spending box, and the money or the resources as well go into institutions only. So it'd be for schools, hospitals, and so on. So the Black community will be benefiting from the reparations through institutions, not through random lumps of money going in their pockets, individuals' pockets. No, the Black community will benefit from reparations through the institutions that will be established as a result of the reparation resources that are coming in. There'll be no payouts to individuals to run around. No, it's for institutions only. Sorry, sounds a bit boring. But
I would also add into that. I would agree with that. I would also add into that land. There has to be some land put into that.
100%.
When we look at what we were entitled
to. That's right. Land. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's for me, that's the most important, because that's where the assets come in when you have the land. So that's the only thing that we've always been missing in America you know, is our land.
Yes.
And had we had been given that at a minimum after slavery, we'd be all right, you know.
Yes.
But you know, not having land is a major crutch for us.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Not only land, brother, I think we need to also learn because you see the experts that know about agriculture,
right.
irrigation,
So the reparations,
equipment. I mean, I think we have to have a think tank, because I heard a few years ago, like Johnny Cochran was preparing some document for that same reparation to reply to his death. I don't know how true it is, but I'm saying I think we need a lot of training. Because if you have the land, we know how to use the land, then there's problems there, because once you have land, we can feed ourselves. I think we need, you know, a lot of training, not a lot of training, and trust and love in ourselves.
Definitely. But
yeah, because I think
once
to be honest, like,
your mind is there, you're tuned into that situation of already thinking about what you can do with this land once you're looking on it. And again, it passes a lot easier generationally in that sense. Sorry, go on, IC3.
Before you go, IC3, I just want to add one thing that we haven't really mentioned, and especially if we're talking about education, is the financial literacy.
Yeah. So I think you caught that. Sorry?
I said a lot of people are missing that, the financial literacy.
100%. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, we need that ASAP. And it's good to see brothers like Jamar with his level of knowledge can come and impart, because like he said a while ago, we are the American currency, like tissue. So if like people like him could help empower, educate, I mean, our people, our children, because many, I mean, will be able to understand how to use money. Because like I said a while ago, as we speak now, our both certificates on the New York Stock Exchange as we speak, and we are monetized as commodities as we speak. The marriage certificate is there as we speak. So because it's backed up by our labor. You see, so what I'm saying is that so brothers like Jamar can help empower, educate our people, so we learn and we respect money. And I think we'll be a stronger person generations to come. People, sorry.
Go on, IC3.
Yeah. Right. So this is this whole model is very different. So there's the output section, which is what you're discussing, and then there's the input. So if you're talking about history, the output section is that that will be people setting up institutions and organizations to teach history. But there's another aspect of history. There'll be other people, or maybe the same people, they'll have to put a new hat for the input. And they will be saying, they'll be debating and saying, look, the people that are paying the reparations, they'll be saying, oh, look, we're going to give you this much. This is how history went this way, or we're going to give you this much land. And then you'll need experts who will speak on behalf of the reparations bank and the black people and saying, well, no, that offering there is wrong, because according to the information we have, that is not correct. So it should be twice that much or 10 times that much based on the evidence that is here. So there'll be historians with skills of negotiating the value of the input that's been offered, because obviously they'll be saying, well, we should, per claim that is, they'll be saying, well, this claim, you should only get that much to go into reparations bank. But we'll have our experts saying, no, it should be more, or it should be this much. And then there'll be negotiation taking place on the input. And then when that input comes in, then that goes over to the other half. So it's like two faces. The other half of the institution will be saying, right, what is the best way to use this bit of pottery that has come in as a result of a reparation payment in not only money, but in resources, because there's lots of things in the archives and there's lots of books and documents that are actually assets. There's information itself that is actually an asset. Once we get that, once that bank says, come cough up, Lloyds, we've got, you've got that in the basement. We heard about it, and then they cough up, and then that book or those records are an asset as they come in to the reparations bank, and then that information itself is as good as money, because that can be evidence and more information that can lead us to more cases for more claims, and then that information can then be used by the educational institution to teach history. That's the output, to teach history, to organize institutions. So there's the input and the output. They're two different, which require two different sets of skills. So the institutions that are investigating with the evidence for more reparations claims. We want claim for that, because that we didn't know about that before. Then that goes into another division, and that division is how can we best use that to educate the people, or to acquire land. So you get that point. There's two different aspects of the same organization: the input and the output.
Yeah, one thing I'm saying,
I agree with that 100%.
Sorry,
they're spending and they're acquiring. So we need people to negotiate input.
Yeah, I must compliment Jamar. I mean, with that initiative, to look at us as the generations to come.
Did you have something to say?
So I beg your pardon?
Is that Patal Council? You want something to say?
Yes, sorry. Thank you, yes.
Any questions on that? What I just said?
I think it's a model that one have to look at, because if at every point in time somebody come up with some kind of case, that's almost like a form of collateral to determine some institution be established or hasn't been done. I think that we have to look at that thing thoroughly. We have to have a 100-year plan. I think we cannot do things day by day. I think we have to have a long-term 100-year plan. We have to get young people come in and train them how to handle what we're doing and see the long-term goal. And then I kind of haven't yet grasped. I understand that we should have two sets of people dealing with like what a receiver and a distributor. In that way, people will get to master what they do, and they'll do it better. But I think in all that, they still have to have a set of people like overseeing both transition of how we receive and how we distribute. But in a nutshell, it's a model that can work, and one have to study and see. We don't have to recreate the wheel, because already they have systems in place, studied systems. Take what that can work for us, and let's move it forward.
No doubt. I think everything IC3 laid out, I was in agreement with. I didn't hear anything that didn't make sense. Again, we're definitely going to need to have two organizations.
That's right.
From the receiving to the outgoing, it will have to be dealt with, again, as Jamal pointed out earlier, in a community basis, meaning that everybody needs to be vetted and go through a particular system that we approve ourselves. Yeah. I think we've covered most of the bases so far. It's been a decent conversation. I don't want to overdo it on this subject. As far as our brother Jamal is concerned, he will be coming back, as I said, on his own individual show to lay out exactly all the works he's been doing in Ghana. So look out for that later on in the week, or it will be next week, depending. But you will see the flyers, we'll lay that out. And again, on that day, any questions that people have specifically for him, we'll be able to get into a bit more at that time, and he can really go into town and give the whole backdrop to what he's doing and how we can get involved on a personal note and find the investment and all the rest of it. So before we wind down, I want anyone who's got their final kind of comments, if they want to just break it down, say what they want to say before we start to wind this thing out. Brother Patar Council.
Yes, I want to thank Black Eyes TV for inviting me on the very decent discussion, which is quite healthy. And I look forward, in being involved, or Patar Council look forward in being involved in what's going on in the community on the global scale. And I want to also say, big up big up Jamal for taking on that initiative. I think it's time we take up our own business. We are mature. We are adults, children. We cannot be picking up crumbs. We no longer need crumbs. We need part of the whole, because they tell us that we get crumbs on the table. No, we don't have. We want part of the whole. And I think what Jamal is doing there is creating a whole. And it's something for us. I think all of us should rally around it and support it and let it be ours and grow.
No doubt. No doubt. Brother IC3, you still there? I think
no, he's buffing. He's buffing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. His signal's gone out. Jamal, big up for joining us. I personally asked you to come in to add to the conversation because I know your backdrop. But yeah, what are your final thoughts for the people, brother?
Oh man, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for having me on. This is a conversation that we're going to hear a lot more of. I expect over the next, year to the next 5 years, it's going to be all about Black financial literacy, Black banking, and alternative ways of economic disbursement. This is probably the biggest global shift of wealth that we've ever seen in the United States, moving into cryptocurrency and things of that nature. So I think that it's important that we, as a diaspora, have our hands on it, and that we're knee deep in the game, and that we're ahead of the game. It's important that we start to learn more about computers, more about programming and coding, and all these different things that are going to come with this territory of digital currency. So it's my contention to try and have my hands in as much of it as I can, and empower others, and delegate others to empower themselves in these different walks of life. So I appreciate the conversation, and I hope to build on more.
Most definitely.
And as one colleague has come in very late, I just want you to give us a little observation on your understanding about the reparations bank and banking for the future. DC Brad.
Okay, how's everyone doing? My name is DC Brad. Well, on the panel life. My understanding of the reparations bank is that it serves it's supposed to be a place where we can collectively put our money in pursuit of getting reparations from our various nations. And apologies for the lateness, but it is also seen. It'd be your own to call you out.
Disgrace, bro. You're a disgrace.
But no, but that's mainly the full function of it, and I think what IC3 is planning and doing, I think it's incredibly brilliant. I think we would be a fool not to support it. I believe we should go a step further and create a centralized banking for, Africans in the world, in the sense, in the global on the global world in a sense. But yeah, I really believe that this banking idea, or excuse me, this reparations bank, a bank that will solely dedicate itself on achieving reparations for the African or the IC3s of the world. I think it's brilliant, and I think we should all be in full support of it. And yeah, pick your words. Like I'm not going to use the R word at all in the panel, at all. I'm just going to say if I ever use the R word, I will say allegedly. So if there was a revolution, allegedly,
It's
yeah,
needed.
big up everybody.
Make no doubt. IC3, we're just
Can
making
you
our
hear me?
final comments. Yeah, we can hear you, brother. Close out. What are your final thoughts before we close out the show, brother?
I think this has been a great. I'm so happy that you put together this meeting of minds, this think tank. I'd love Qatar Council, DC Brad to be in here at the beginning. This is just a great meeting. It's a great show, and it's a think tank. And I think it's just kicked off something here, really, because this issue of reparations and banking are just not tackled or not addressed. You don't hear people talking about these things for the Black community. And yeah, so I'd love to speak to hear what Jamal has to say for the next meeting, and please keep it going. Black Eyes TV 7. Fantastic.
Gospel. Yes, we will. And again, for DC and for IC3, Qatar, as I said already, and for the people that are listening, he is going to be coming back on specifically to talk about his Ghana situation, this banking situation, and to lay out step by step what's going on, how we can get involved, how we can support it, what the benefits are. And then there will be a question part. So if you guys are available on that day, I'll make sure that I get the word out to you so you're poised and ready for all your questions and queries as the lays it out. No, most definitely. And as well, obviously, True Talk is back now every Tuesday at this time. Different subject matters, open panel show. So again, come back. We're gonna have different things going on. It will be open. There will be predetermined guests certain times that might set the tone of the subject. But again, it is an open panel show like today. So we encourage anyone who has an opinion and who is Black to come on. You understand? Definitely, this is by the people for the people. Riggsy, go ahead, brother.
Oh, as I was saying, we have, as we call it, we've got the Black Eyes TV ×2. Make sure you go to the link, which I will highlight once again. Make sure you go to that link, because that channel there will be our entertainment channel, which is it's to deal with all art, music, clothing, all forms of accessories in the fact of creating a form of income. So it's a more of an entertainment channel. So we even be having comedy shows and whatsoever upon that channel.
Black Eyes TV7 X2.
So to talk about that, this Friday we have the next show, which is to do with a clothing brand, and they are an artist duet. I will quickly just play the little advert for you to see exactly what it's about. But continue. Go on.
There's a problem. There's a problem.
What's that?
What's the problem?
The problem is, maybe I'm wrong, but if the Tuesdays is going to be open panel, that's good, but if it's a problem-solving meeting, then people won't want to open up on a business front, because they'll feel like they're giving away.
IC3. Before no. I think before you have your conversation, understand this channel, the channel's Black Eyes TV is for the people by the people. There is different types of genres and different types of panels and different types of shows. So what happens is that the True Talk is for people to come on the panel, and then once we identify certain situations, then we have separate shows that spins off it. In the fact,
right, okay,
right.
Targets the problem and gives those solutions that you're talking about. Because again, I hate what if shows. I hate.
Hold on.
End with something.
Richie,
you get me? I'm with you on that. I'm with you.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to explain is that now we are identifying and we're looking at the situation in the forms of the reparation.
Right.
We will probably have a separate show on itself as a reparations banking show. So
right. Okay. Again,
how many people request it and demand for it is that we were able to explore that situation.
Right. Okay.
Now,
all right.
True Talk itself is bringing topics and dilemmas for everybody to able to have that conversation, to able to come on the panel and say their piece or their talk in that form light. So whether it's about media, whether it's about the children, whether it's about banking, reparations, you name it, it's everything in a nutshell to open up the conversation, to able to create in the show around the perspective of what it is.
Right. Okay. Right. All right.
So, like for instance, as I'm going to show you the what's going to be happening every Friday, it's called Talking with the Creators. Now, talking with creators is talking to people that have creativity. So we'll be showing people from the music world, from the fashion world, entertainment world, business world, and whatsoever. So let me just give you a little intro of understanding. Let me get there. And you can see. Hold on. Take his time.
Greetings, I'm Yarai. I'm Noel. We are from Reflect Control Clothing and Apparel.
And we are most definitely in tune to
Black Eyes TV 7.
You can catch us info at reflectcouture.com.
Keep your head up, All the shit we been through, I know you fed up. These constant type of pressures, you ain't led up. This country should be happy we ain't teared up.
Nobody love us, let us not pretend. Let us gain our independence and let us not depend. They'll never stop us now, they couldn't stop us then. This country lucky that we only want equality and not revenge. We need to invest in each other, how much you got to spend? I needed your help, my brother, how much you got to lend? You got a black business, I support you. I'm about black, the block I want us to buy back. I'm trying to buy that, I'm trying not to get shot at in Babylon with a cop at. I need to see an all black Amazon I can shop at. Stop that, cause a black man is king, black man is God. Any black celebrity quiet, that man a fraud. Cause they wanna leave us with no blessings. I see blacks get beat peacefully protesting, leaving the street bleeding with no weapons, or get COVID treated with no testing. I'm squeezing with no questions.
Keep your head up, All the shit we been through, I know you fed up. You ain't led up.
That was lit. That was lit.
So that is Talking with the Creatives at 8 p.m. every Friday, and that'll be 3 p.m. US and Eastern time. So
yeah, I ain't gonna lie, it's only 6 o'clock over here. I feel so bad. I realize it's like 11 over there.
So it's get to understand the creative and the creative mind behind every situation, because without the creativity, you don't have nothing. So, and there's a lot of people that are actually doing the work out there. So it's a way to highlight every situation. So, like for instance, they could be on True Talk, and then they can be coming onto that panel, and then we can even actually make a slot in any of the channels in the fact of displaying. And not only that, what we do as well is if the show is very good, then we transfer it on. We put it on both channels. Which one will be live and one will be premiered?
Yeah.
So that
But
people
if
don't.
you want to catch the live show of Talk with the Creatives, that's Black Eyes TV X2, the new channel that's dedicated to entertainment. Black Eyes TV 1 that we're on right now will always be for the people, for the subjects, for the chop up, for the talk, for the breakdown, for the instructionals. Yeah. So again, go to the new channel, subscribe if you're interested. If that video and other promos that you see have whet your appetite, there's the link, there's the name. Go there now and go and subscribe. But again, look out for True Talk here on Black Eyes TV 7. Now we're back and live. There will be a different subject every week, you know what I'm saying? And there'll be other interviews and shows going on as well. As I said, look out for Jamal Milton and his own personal show, where we're going to delve deep into the banking situation that will be coming up. So look out for that and a few other shows to come.
Okay.
It's been a pleasure with everyone who's joined us today, everyone who's contributed in the chat room, everyone who's come on. Big up again. Yeah.
Yeah, before we leave, there is an I'm giving you another introduction of
I hear you. Don't worry. Get it in.
Season 2 coming in, and this is for our sisters, you know, because you know what, when we're doing think tanks, we have a children's think tank, we have the family think tank, we have the men's think tank, but do we have the women's think tank? That's another thing coming. So in saying that, we're bringing back what we call the International Sister Circle, which I will give you a little side preview of it.
Nice graphic.
That's all. And remember, people, none of these are new shows. In case this is the first time you're joining us and you think these are new shows, no, go back to the Black Eyes TV catalog and you will see we've already had a good few International Sister Circle shows, a good couple True Talk panel shows, the Creative Show, Talking with the Creatives, that is a new show. So again, if you want to be a part of that, and there's still been 2 out already so far to go and check out. But all of these shows that we're promoting right now, we've already had a good few. So again, I urge people, go back to the back catalog and check them out and see the kind of people that have come on and graced those panels.
Yes, so look out for them. Subscribe to both channels, and if you've enjoyed this, please share, subscribe to this show today, as it's been a fantastic show. As you know, before we leave out, can everyone give out their farewells and give the public something to think about before they come off the panel?
Any details as well, any contact details that you want to put out there, anything you want to promote as well, please take this time out to do that.
Well, since I was like, I'm just, I'm a vagabond on these panel life, so I just want to say, like, I'm glad to be here. I know I came in late, didn't get it, but I'm thankful. I would like to say just one thing: we can do this. Like, regardless of how powerful Western powers may be right now, we can get this done. That's the one thing I would always say.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing that we can't do. I mean, if there's to be a revolution, excuse me, if there's to be some kind of movement of social political power that is in our favor, nice save there, we can get it done. And so I can't wait to have this conversation again. I could bring my friend Tommy Sotomayor too. I don't know if you guys know him, but
now that would be interesting. Yeah.
I do believe we've got something of him in the archives.
That's it. We have witnessed him in person. Yeah, getting chinned. It's all good.
Beautiful footage, by the way. Beautiful footage.
Trust me. Does anyone else have anything they want to promote or any contact deals they want to put out before we wrap this thing up and say good night?
Patar? Jamal?
Definitely, if you haven't already, follow me on Instagram at Jamar, Jamaar. Hit the link in my bio and you'll see all the initiatives that myself and the Lighthouse is doing, as well as all the initiatives in Ghana. And if you want to know about the coin, you can also hit that link available as well. And you can be a part of one of our Zoom calls that we do once a week, usually on Sundays at 8 p.m. or Wednesdays at 8 p.m. So, stay tuned. Make sure you hit notifications on all my social media so you know when we're going to do our next call. All right. Thank y'all for having me on once again.
No doubt, brother. No doubt. And you can see Jamal's music as well on YouTube. We've got a couple of videos downloaded on Black Eyes TV X2. Because he does it all, CFOs and artists and all that kind of good stuff. So we're gonna have him on that creative spot talking about that. But go check out one of his videos we got down the other channel. I see free, my brother. Speak.
Yeah. So that's it for tonight. I look forward to the next one. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Patar cancel. Patar cancel.
We there, brother. We there.
Well, it looks like he's
Is he still hearing us? No.
I think the Zeds are calling him as it's almost 12 o'clock at night over here. So I'm going to give us, as the usual, the close out and understand that you have to spend black, believe in black, turn black, but work with the whole world.
That's right. That's right.
Blessings.
Or conquer it.
no doubt. And again, you know, look, I will let you know. Yes, people.
Before they would know, never ever serve you.